Welcome to the May 2024 regular business meeting of the Lower Merion School District. This meeting is also available via Zoom webinar, live stream, and is being video recorded with sound for public broadcast. All participants joining via the webinar will need to use the chat feature, which will be enabled during audience recognition. If you are attending this meeting in person, you should be aware that other attendees may be recording this meeting as permitted by the Sunshine Act, which means that any remarks you make, even those made at your seat, may be recorded by other members of the public during the meeting. The board believes it is in the best interest and the best interest of the students of the district to hear comments from district residents. An opportunity will be given later in the meeting for public comment, both in person and through the chat feature, which will be read by Solicitor Roos. The board strives to be respectful to all individuals making public comment and does not wish to limit any taxpayer or resident's right to free expression while making their public comment during the public comment period. However, attendees need to be aware that intentionally disrupting a school board meeting is considered a criminal offense in Pennsylvania. And see Section 18 of the PA CSA, Section 5101, and 18 PA CSA, Section 5508. And now I turn the meeting over to Dr. Yanni for the superintendent's report.
Ms. Schaffmeister, before we begin this evening, we experienced the passing of a Harriton student this weekend, so I would like for us to observe a moment of silence in memory of Massey. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. For my superintendent's report, I'd like to highlight a number of things this evening. First, we have 5 students that we congratulate as the 2024 National Merit Scholarship winners. The National Merit Scholarship really begins with taking the PSAT. So these students are to be commended. They're part of a select group across the country that are honored for this, and we're so proud to have 5 of our Lower Merion School District students identified as scholarship winners. Right below that, you see students on an Olympic podium. Last week, we had our ELD night. It was Olympic themed. It was a fair for families to learn about our school district, get supports and resources they need. We had a tremendous showing of families and staff, and even some of our volunteer translators. So we extend our thanks to everyone. The Harriton Science Olympiad, they were state champs. This group is to be congratulated, and actually if you think back to one of the snow days that we had, these students had to get on a bus very, very early to get out of town before the snow actually arrived. So congratulations to them. And also from Harriton, we have Reach Out and Read. So members of the National Honor Society at Harriton work with St. Christopher's, and they collect and pass out books for all of the patients to read as they're going through treatment. May is Jewish American Heritage Month. I want to thank the JFA for the Jewish Families Association or Alliance for their collaboration. We've had a series of lessons and special things in each of our buildings, so I really want to thank them for their collaboration. It's also Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and May is also Mental Health Awareness Month. So there's a lot going on in May, and I want to thank everyone for their contributions to recognizing everything that's special in May. I want to spend some time last week at the curriculum committee. The curriculum and instruction team reviewed a great deal of information on universal full-day kindergarten, and I want to take just a few minutes to recap where we are in our journey to have universal full-day kindergarten up and running for the start of the new school year. I am extremely confident that this program is going to be successful, and it's taken the hard work of many, many people, and we'll talk about that as we go through this. So kindergarten registration remains open. Last week, Megan Schaefer and I met with our elementary principals to provide preliminary section counts, how many sections of full-day kindergarten will be set in each building. By and large, the projections from the Montgomery County Planning Commission were accurate with one exception, and that is Gladwin Elementary. Gladwin has actually one fewer sections of kindergarten for next year than what was projected. So when we're looking at the number of sections for kindergarten, we're looking at the number of kids that are actually registered, those registrations that are pending, and then also a number of years of averages of the number of kids that would register over the summer. So we feel really confident that we have our sections locked in, and now some more robust scheduling can start in terms of supports that we'll be providing inside those classrooms. Our professional development for teachers continues. You know, I really want to give a shout out to our teachers. There's a lot of anxiety around the implementation of full-day kindergarten because so many of them feel like it's something they haven't done before, but we have amazing kindergarten teachers. And really what it's going to allow, what Universal Full-Day Kindergarten is going to allow our teachers to do is to actually go deeper with content. Right now, the half-day program, it's really, really fast-paced because you have a lot to pack into just a half day. So we're looking forward to that. We're continuing some professional development around science with the new STEEL standards and that curriculum. Also, we're focusing on professional development around purposeful play. If you remember from the presentation last week, purposeful play is one of those times that we're dedicating inside the schedule where kids are going to be able to practice their science and math and literacy skills in a way that's going to reinforce them in a fun, engaging learning environment. Again, I want to thank everyone who participated in the site visit. So there were multiple site visits we did. We went and looked at Radnor. We looked at Westchester in person. We looked at Upper Dublin virtually and Garnet Valley virtually. And one of the things that the team heard over and over and over again in those site visits was when you're implementing full-day kindergarten, you're not starting over and you're not adding a ton of content into the day. What you're actually able to do is move at a more comfortable pace for kids. In our half-day program, literacy has been prioritized, but in the full-day program, we see an increase in time for math, science. We're putting in an occupational therapy boot camp so that kids get practice with fine and gross motor skills. We have purposeful playtime, humanities, blending ELA, social studies, and also social emotional learning. So I feel really confident that the way we're structuring our days next year is not only going to be meaningful for kids, but also very appropriate. Principals over the summer, now that we have locked in our section counts, not only for kindergarten, but looking at enrollments and other grade levels, principals are now refining their building schedules. And so as families learn their classroom assignments over the summer and as we go into next year, every class will have their own unique schedule. Right under the ERGARTEN, you see a math sheet and a science sheet there. If you remember from last week, Katie Davenport talked about the big themes for science. And so one of the things that Universal Full-Day Kindergarten is going to allow us to do is actually spend some sustained time teaching and having kids learn science under the new STEEL standards. So what do living things need to survive? What happens when we push or pull objects? How does sunlight affect Earth? And how can we predict and respond to weather? So we're really excited about students being able to spend much more time engaged in science. If you look all the way over, you'll see a big block there where there's some things to do with literacy. So one of the things that has been implemented a couple years ago was foundations to align with the science of reading and structured literacy. Our teachers have really done an outstanding job in K-1-2 implementing foundations. And I really want to compliment the CNI team, especially Dory Martin-Patone, for bringing in Haggerty Phonics. So Haggerty is a phonics system, phonemic awareness system, that dovetails beautifully with foundations. They're short, high-impact lessons, 8 to 12 minutes, and it's a high-intensity dose of phonemic awareness, and it's been proven, bless you, it's been proven in school districts across, not only across Pennsylvania, but across the country when used in conjunction with foundations. It helps kids crack the code, and we have that goal of 100% of our kids reading on or above grade level by the end of grade 3, and to achieve that, we have to set kids off on the right path in kindergarten, and I feel really confident that our students will be readers in kindergarten. Kid writing is also going to be a focus next year. Kid writing, you know, when kids first come to kindergarten, you'll have some kids that can write a sentence, and then you have some kids that can just put a squiggle on a piece of paper. But over the course of the year, kid writing allows students to really develop and hone their writing skills by exercising the phonemic awareness and the phonics that they learn, and also making meaning out of print. And in the schedule for next year, there's also time for small group reading. So, you know, in a half-day program, there's a lot of literacy time. You got math, and then you got a couple specials, and that was kind of it. This really allows us to have a much more robust day. At the bottom of the screen there, you see kids together, and you also see a girl holding a globe. That's my reminder to say to you that our humanities focus is going to blend not only literacy skills, but social emotional learning skills. How do we learn as students? How do we make good choices? How do we develop empathy? How do we recognize each other as individuals, but also as a collective group, as a classroom community? And I think the way that's being structured for next year is also going to promote some good relationships and good, healthy culture in our classroom. You see a girl there cutting. That's a reminder that we've put time in our schedules for practice with OT skills. I can't tell you over the years how many times by October or November our occupational therapists are inundated with referrals because kids don't have fine motor skills. This is going to allow us to do a better job of focusing on those as tier 1 with everyone. And I'll mention also that with foundations, there's a strong handwriting component. So it really helps students, especially those fine motor skills, holding pencils, writing formation, really, really strong. We mentioned purposeful play. I just want to remind everyone that, and I should have put this picture here, but I know she doesn't like it when I put it there. Not you, don't worry, it's Veronica Ellers. So I was over at Gladwin a couple weeks ago for Purposeful Play Bowling Alley, and I just want the record to reflect that I beat Veronica in bowling. And Veronica always tells me she's an athlete, and the bowling score would say otherwise. But I just want, just for the record. This summer, thanks to Jim Lill and his operations team, there's going to be some walls coming down in our schools, walls going up to create instructional spaces. We're not worried about any of that, so thank you to Mr. Lill and his team. And then our students in Universal Full Day Kindergarten next year will have a full complement of specials. So they'll have PE, music, art, and library. There are a couple resources that are going up on the website and also on Making Practices Public that I want to draw your attention to. And some of these resources will also be sent out to families. The first item there is a kindergarten readiness set of skills. We want to be really clear, when we talk about kindergarten readiness, we're not telling kids they can't come to kindergarten, but these are things that families can work on between now and the start of the school year to help set their kids up for success. We have a kindergarten literacy document up on Making Practices Public right now, and linked there is Foundations, Kid Writing, and Haggerty Phonics. And if families click there, you'll actually be able to see some samples of what kids would be learning in Foundations, in Kid Writing, and also in Haggerty. On the kindergarten website, for every content area, there's a detailed description of what the major focus instructional areas are. So I just have a sample up there of math. And then the last item that you see there is a document outlining the major themes for the science themes in kindergarten, changing and growing. So that will make its way to the website and to Making Practices Public with some descriptions about what those units will look like. On tonight's agenda, there's some career milestones. So in just a few minutes, we're going to recognize some dedicated employees for a number of years of service in the district. We'll also be talking about supporting teaching, learning, and innovation with the ISC mini grants. Tonight, I'm asking the board to support a school funding resolution, and I believe we have some students here to talk about that or show their support for that resolution as well. And then on the agenda tonight is authorization for our leadership team to apply for a grant, Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development grant. It's a competitive grant, and even though many times Lower Merion does not qualify or does not get selected because we have relative wealth in the district, we still believe it's in the best interest of our district and our taxpayers to try to secure some of this grant funding. This is grant funding that would help us do some significant work on the roof of Ballackinwood Middle School. So tonight's authorization will allow us to move forward with that grant, and of course we'll keep the board updated in terms of whether we get that grant or not. And that concludes my report. Yeah, I need to get my sheet. We'd like to move into our 25-year recognition for many of our employees. We have so many dedicated employees in Lower Merion School District, and so tonight we present our 25-year recognition tokens of our appreciation. Please allow me to begin tonight's 25-year recognition by taking a moment to thank each of the honorees for their hard work and dedication to the Lower Merion School District. You have been an integral part of the district, and your contributions have been many. Tonight's honorees represent the many aspects of what makes this district great. From our amazing teachers and administrative support staff to our much cherished bus drivers and nutritional services staff, as well as our outstanding information systems technicians. While some of you are unable to join us this evening, please allow me, on behalf of our friends and colleagues, to welcome all of you to the prestigious 25-Year Club. If you are here this evening, I ask you to come up to the podium when we call your name, and then I see Ms. Buckman is ready with her camera, so she's going to make sure she gets that at a good angle and run that through FaceApp tomorrow before we put any of those on the website. And then we have a token of appreciation for our honorees. So Mary Ann Collins, Sandy Flacco, Rodney Garvin, Felix Kelly, Ed Kohler, Eric Koning, Michael Prebix. Perfect. Oh, I'm sorry.
25 years.
This just allows you to have a few more seconds up here.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can get back to work now.
You're gonna get a good picture.
Right, come here. Well,
This way.
Mike makes the technology on our board meetings go, so thank you again especially from the board.
Teddy Caroli, Mary Weldon. Okay. James Wills, Eileen Evans, Brian Gauvin. Maureen Gold, Aaron Katzen. Oh, please.
Sorry for the delay.
Aaron Katzen, Robert McNeil, I mean, you got t-shirts and everything. I mean, come on. Nicole Malley,
Thank you.
and last but certainly not least, Lee Muscolato. Thank you to all of our 25-year honorees, and we'll make sure that those folks that couldn't join us this evening, we'll make sure that they get their prize. Thank you, Mrs. Schaffmeister. Finally, tonight, we have the ISC mini grant. So for those of you that don't know what the ISC is the Inter-School Council, and our co-presidents are here this evening, Allison Crawford and Lisa Prosnitz. So we welcome them this evening. Each year, the ISC has a grant program where teachers can apply for grants for innovative projects that enhance learning in the classroom. This year, the ISC received 68 grants for the 24-25 school year, requesting a total of almost $42,000. For the 24-25 school year, there'll be 2 award periods, one in the spring and another in the fall. The funding for these grants came from the 11 home and school associations in the amount of $14,500, and the Education Foundation of Lower Merion. They donated $2,000. The total number of ISC mini grant awards this spring is 11. The total number of fully funded grants are 7, and there were 4 partially funded grants. The spring grant funding for 24-25 is almost $8,000, and there's a remaining dollar figure of almost $7,000 that will be awarded in October. The range of the grant funding came in anywhere, projects that cost $130,000 up to about $1,000. And we want to thank Monica Romeo for her service as the ISC mini grant co-chair. Obviously, we want to thank our ISC co-presidents and thank all the teachers and staff that put in applications for grants. So. And before I sit down, I just want to draw the board's attention to the funding resolution that's going to be on, or that is on the agenda for tonight. So back in February of 2023, courts in Pennsylvania found that the way our state funds public education is unconstitutional. And I think I mentioned at one of our meetings that in terms of transparency, Pennsylvania ranked 46 out of 50, with only Alabama, Arkansas, and Oklahoma being less transparent about how they fund school districts. Our governor has made a significant contribution to the way funding is, well, he has proposed significant increases in state aid to school districts, starting with next school year, and how those funds are dispersed. So the resolution on the agenda tonight is in support of the work that the governor and the legislature is going to do to rectify some of the past transgressions of how state aid has been dispersed in the state. So I think most likely during public recognition, we have some students that may come up and speak about that, and I would urge the board to approve that resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yanni, for your report and all of the information. Before we move on to the committee meeting reports, I'm going to deviate a little bit and ask Dr. Sartner, I believe is online and was going to give an update on the superintendent search. Curry, are you available? Okay, thank you.
Great, I'm glad everybody can hear me. Mel, if anything looks wrong, just give me a thumbs down, and Anna will step in and update everybody. But hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm away traveling on my son's senior project, so a really exciting time to watch Lower Merion by both a board member and a parent. But we promised you that every single board meeting that we'll give you updates on the superintendent search. So they may be incremental at times, but we feel like we have some good things moving along right now. So just for everybody's sake, for transparency, here I'm going to run through a bulleted list of the updates since we last spoke last week. So Dr. Yanni has been officially appointed superintendent in the Central Bucks School District. Dr. Yanni has submitted his resignation effectively as June 30th. The board plans tonight, I believe, to accept his resignation at the board meeting. Somebody can correct me if I have that wrong. The next update is the board has already begun the process of identifying and acting as superintendent, and we will have that person in place by July 1st. We also have started to explore search firms and engage in the conversation about how to guide this work, how to create a large and vast reach of people that can speak to us about being our next superintendent, and really important work of how do we engage the community in designing the values and ideas that we want in our next superintendent. All of these updates will come to you at every single board meeting, but I wanted to offer up a few things that we shared in the last meeting as well. You can at any point in time reach out to myself and Melanie, give us your thoughts, your feedback, send it our way. You can also send that to the whole board if you want everybody to see it as well, or put it in community comments. So we will have ways we'll engage with the community and your thoughts, but if you just have a burning thought and you want us to know ahead of time, send it our way via email. It's really helpful. I've had a few already, and I really appreciate the way our community is coming together to think through what's our next choice. Amy Buckman has also done a great job making sure that all of this is up on the LMS webpage. So please check it out. It's lms.org/departments/superintendent/search24. They will send that out to everybody tomorrow. So don't worry to try to remember all of that. But thank you, Amy, for your hard work on that.
Just to quickly
finally,
interrupt
one
you,
thing-
Curry, it's lmsd.org. I just wanted for anybody watching to.
And there's actually a button right on the homepage that says Superintendent Search. You can just click that. You don't have to hardly remember anything.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Shayna. One final update is I just wanted to take a moment and share with Dr. Yanni that the entire board really appreciates your willingness to remain with us to the end of the school year to ensure that our students, who we all love and believe in, come first. We celebrate them to the end of the school year, and you're really helping us through this transition time. So I wanted to publicly thank you for that as the board. And that is the updates on the superintendent search. So I'll turn it over back to Melanie, who is rock starring this meeting tonight. Melanie, I'm just going to say that now.
Oh, well, I thank you. And I want to echo your comment that thank you, Dr. Yanni, for staying committed to us to the end of the school year. Now, this time we will move on to the committee reports. And the first one on the list is the school board student, let me take that. School board student representatives will return to us in September. The first committee report is the April 24th Legislative Committee meeting report. Who will be making that? Sarah, do I see movement? Bear with us while we work through a technical issue.
Is it the legislative meeting?
Yeah, the legislative meeting. Do we have the report?
I'll go ahead and get started, and then Ms. Thomas can jump in if she'd like. So we talked during the legislative committee meeting about a number of topics, advocacy points. One was the radius for transportation for non-public students. The other one was reform for cyber charter, the way cyber charter funding works. And we also talked about the changes that are needed in the state budget to have predictable funding for wellness and mental health supports. Because right now, each year, there are grants that we use those funds to provide those supports, but grant funding is never guaranteed. And so we really need to continue to push on the legislature and the governor for predictable funding streams. We talked also about the change in the state assessments coming in school year 2025, 2026. We would really appreciate if any families, any parents, guardians, community members are interested in advocating and talking to local legislators on making practices public. There is a document that outlines each of these issues and gives you some talking points. It is incredibly helpful when folks reach out to our local legislators. There's also contact information on that sheet for Representatives Daley and Briggs and also Senator Cappelletti. I have to tell you that they have been tremendously receptive in my time here when I've reached out to them, but I know it absolutely does help when others reach out as well. So that's why we made sure that that information is on making practices public.
Is there anything to add? No? Okay, thank you for the report. Next on the agenda is the policy meeting. I'm guessing you, I will be doing that?
Yes, I was not there.
Okay. What,
I can read it.
No, but, we went for second readings and moving forward, request to the move forward of the academic class rank, policy 133, policy 151, extracurricular and co-curricular opportunities. And then a number of these, what we're doing is combining policies and also repealing policies that duplicate. So there's a many for repeal on the second reading too, co-curricular opportunities, which is being encompassed into extracurricular. The curriculum and resources materials is AR 108 is countering resources, is repealing AR 109 and being incorporated therein. And policy AR 105, curriculum review by parents, policy AR 119, controversial values in curriculum, and policy AR 816, web contact developing hosting, are all requests to be moved, were moved forward from their second reading to request for approval tonight. We also reviewed administrative regulations, board procedure 007 board meetings. We discussed, we heard from many community members the concern about the for the 60 days for deletion of unedited videos, and we found that there's been that's been revised to 2 years of unedited video, and will be maintained if any legal issues arise requiring us to keep that video for extended period. And we feel that's a good balance for still allowing everybody to have their ability to review this video if needed, but against the amount of cost it is to maintain these videos and store them. Also the administrative regulation 151-1 eligibility for extracurricular and co-curricular opportunities, and AR 1512B extracurricular student athletics, and AR 207 attendance. Those were all reviewed as part of second readings. For discussions, we have under numerous meetings have discussed policy 101 equity and have incorporated many changes into it so far. Based upon those discussions, we decided to request it be moved up to a first reading starting in September and that does not mean we are done editing. It means that we are just moving it to the first reading, and we will begin to hone and make this document. And any community members who have comments, please join us in September for our first policy meeting. And then the policy AR, we have the reporting of student progress, and that's AR 212, Policy AR 105 and 105.1 is for repeal as far as it's being incorporated. And policy AR 816, web contact, developing and hosting. These are all items that are under discussion and will remain under discussion. And then our next policy meeting will be in September, and we hope you can join us. Okay, thank you. Next on
Curriculum.
curriculum, thank you.
Yes, so we had the curriculum meeting in this room on the evening of May 13th, and tis the season for textbook adoptions, so we reviewed a number of textbooks and recommended those for approval for the full board. We then went through our contracts, of which we have Delta Math Solutions Digital Integral License, and that is a support program that teachers can use to do enrichment math problems for their students in class. We have SchoolMint, which I believe is our tardy system, our system of recording tardies that integrates with PowerSchool. We had a very robust description about that. Yeah, and yes, we need that because recording tardies is a state requirement, and this is how we do it. EduLink is an HR software for reviewing professionals with PA ETAP. And then the last we reviewed was Desmos Math, which is the new math curriculum that was reviewed by a team of middle grade educators. This is for grades 6 to 8, and it includes the curriculum and the workbooks for all of these students, and this is a 6-year license to the cost of $232,465.40. We also had a very in-depth review of Universal Full Day Kindergarten, of which Dr. Yanni gave us a nice summary, and if you're interested, I would urge you to go back and watch the video of that meeting because it was very informative. The curriculum committee does not meet over the summer, so we will see everyone again in the first or second week of September.
Thank you, Ms. Kalish. Next is the facilities and purchasing. I have it here. Are you okay?
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. So we had a great meeting. We started off, just to give a little bit of the highlights, the list of bills. We reviewed the purchasing report. A lot of what Ms. Kalish had said about the curriculum, contracts for textbooks. We reviewed those as well. We also looked at student transportation contracts, the Delta dental coverage for employees. We looked at the PowerSchool as well as SchoolMint. And then we also were presented with both for Apple and Chromebooks that our students use, the annual equipment purchase that we make. We also discussed Right at School for summer child care services. We talked about mainline school night, the license agreement, some video management, as well as some security service agreements that we have. And then last, proactively, Mr. Lill had brought up discussing a traffic planning and design contract so that we can make sure that our lights and the information surrounding our schools is consistent with full day kindergarten and the adjustments that we're making. So we discussed that and the possibility of reaching out to the township and making sure that we can move forward with this process of making sure that our lights and our planning is in line with student safety. Our next Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting is June 6th. We do continue on throughout the summer. So we hope to see you there.
We invite you. Thank you, Mr. We'll be there. Yeah, we'll be there. Who would want to be with us? Next on the agenda is audience recognition. At this time, we will hear public comment. If you would like to speak at tonight's meeting and have not signed up with Ms. LaPera, please do so for now. For those of you joining us via webinar, the chat feature will now be open, and you will see a 10-minute timer appear on your screen. You can submit your comments and or questions via the chat feature. Please be sure to begin with your full name and where you reside within the district in order for your comment to be shared. And so, Ms. LaPera, is there any comments for tonight? And are there any students that we need to, that are commenting?
Yes, there is, and the students are just finishing signing in, so we'll be with you in a second.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Audrey Mariani, and I'm a resident of Villanova in Lower Merion Township, a junior at Harridan High School, and a coxswain for the Harridan crew team. I'm here to represent Harridan High School, along with my teammates, for the boys and girls crew team, and ask for your attention to a matter that is critical to the survival of Harridan crew. As you are aware, we have been subletting space from Villanova's women's crew team at 601 Washington Street in Conshohocken, White Marsh Township, since spring of 2010. Last spring, the property was purchased by Villanova, and they have plans to build a new crew facility and student housing. We have been informed that their future plans do not include Harridan crew past this June and possibly early fall. Therefore, we are asking for your assistance in securing a home for our team to house our equipment and provide a launch dock for practices at Flat Rock Park, a Lower Merion Township property. Our practices are held Tuesday through Friday from 4 to 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays from approximately 9 to 1. We will not be hosting any regattas at this location, and we have updated our cox boxes, which make communication between the coxswains and rowers much quieter, and there will be no need for coxswains to yell. We have endured less than ideal conditions at our current location for years, where health and safety has been at risk. We are aware that Lower Merion Township owns riverfront property at Flat Rock Park that could accommodate our boat racks, porta potties, sea box storage unit, and launch dock at minimum. Lower Merion School District is currently paying rent to Villanova. This money could be utilized to accommodate the new dock along with upgrades to the park. Ideally, a more permanent structure to protect the valuable equipment and students' health is desired, but in the meantime, we need to act quickly to secure a location for next year's season. Will you please work with us, our head coach, and Harridan's athletic director in securing a safe area so that we can continue the Harridan Crew program in the upcoming 2024 to 2025 school year? Thank you in advance for your timely attention to this matter, Harridan Crew.
Thank you.
Here's a letter from our coach, our head coach.
I just want to jump in real quick and thank you all for coming in and addressing this with us. I know it's an issue that we've been sort of aware of. I didn't realize that personally that the lease was being taken over this year. I know that this is an issue that has been brought to the commissioners before, and so as you're formulating how you want to do your own personal advocacy, especially since a lot of you are really articulate folks, and I think a really good place for you to also work on focusing your efforts on getting Flat Rock, not Black Rock, excuse me, is to be in touch with both your personal commissioner in the ward in which you live and the commissioner of the area where the launch you would like it to be.
Thank you, Ms. Kalish, and good information to pass on. And yes, and we are concerned that you need your space. Okay, who's next on the list?
So are all of you now done, or? So if you were going to speak, you're done, that one, okay, great, okay.
Oh, thank you.
now let me
I
get
was
the-
waiting for all of you to speak.
I'm Brooke Cairo, and I'm an 11th grader at Lower Merion High School and the founder of the Funding Real Educational Equity Club. What does it mean to truly be a leader in education? As a student of Kobe Bryant's alma mater, I believe that leaders not only meet high levels of achievement, but also help to make sure that those around them can thrive. In Pennsylvania, we have a historic opportunity to do just this, because our school funding system was ruled unconstitutional last year for failing to provide an adequate education to students in low-wealth districts. The governor proposed a budget that would invest more than $1 billion additional in basic education funding as the beginning of a 7-year plan to ensure adequate funding in every district. One look at some of the school districts around us makes it clear that this is urgently necessary. Outdated textbooks, understaffed buildings, and asbestos-filled classrooms are only a few signs of utter neglect. That's why I was heartbroken when I heard comments made by Superintendent Yanni and Board Member Kalish at the Finance Committee meeting in February discussing the impact of the proposed budget. You said that the way state funding would be distributed would be unfair to us, the best funded district in the state after adjusting for student needs, because of how dollars would be rerouted to historically underfunded districts, and even recommended that Lower Merion residents ask for more funding by contacting our legislators and the governor because he is local and would be receptive to us. You called districts in our county that would benefit from this proposal supposedly underfunded and allegedly underfunded. I was just in Pottstown in Montgomery County a few nights ago. They spoke of how they had to eliminate foreign language in their middle schools. They spoke of how they have to burden their communities with the 7th highest local tax effort in the state. They spoke of how when it is raining outside, it is also raining inside. To question their resource deprivation is denigrating. As a proud ace, I started to wonder if our district truly acts like a leader. Do your actions teach LM students to enter to learn and go forth to serve, or to serve ourselves and let no one else enter? That's why I'm asking you to please pass a resolution which I've emailed to Secretary LaPera. This resolution urges the General Assembly to adopt the governor's budget proposal and commit to a plan to meet Pennsylvania's moral and constitutional obligation to provide fair and full funding to every district in our great Commonwealth. Show me that I can hold my ace up high, knowing that the district's decision makers are acting like the leaders I know that they are. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much for your comments, and I just wanted to clarify that since you brought into question my comments, I was not implying that we should have, as a district, funding that could go to other districts that were in desperate need of vast repair, simply that the state does not fund education writ large to an adequate degree. The tax burden in this area is very high. The tax burden in other areas is very high. We need to increase all the education funding, and I understand that it will not proportionally go to us. Would we have ways to spend that money? Absolutely. But do we have rain in our buildings? No, and I fully understand and fully support that. That is something that I have personally been concerned about. When I was on the legislative committee last year, we hosted a forum with one of the school board members from William Penn Charter, which is one of the lead districts that brought the fair funding suit. You can look at that on our website. I personally made sure, as we were hiring our last 2 superintendents, to ask them about their stance on fair funding, and I absolutely intend to support this resolution. So I'm sorry if I have not presented myself in a way that made you proud to be a member of this district, but I absolutely believe that our state needs to be adequately funding all districts, especially the ones with the greatest need in our state.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Michael Levine, then Allison Crawford, and then Colleen Bertrand.
Good evening. That's a hard act to follow. Dr. Yanni and board, we so appreciate you for all the things you've done, and our Dr. Yanni, very sorry to see you go. I wish you the best with Central Bucks. And I'm especially grateful to you and the board for what appears to be saving Oakwell. And I'm by no means the only one. Last year, when things weren't looking too good, I had this idea for a petition. Suddenly, I was enveloped in an amazing group called Preserve Oakwell. And we have 2 leaders of Preserve Oakwell sitting in the middle. That's Holly and that's Deborah, in case you don't know them. And so we circulated the petition with the help of students, parents, neighborhood, and conservation associations. LMSD residents and taxpayers were happy to sign, especially the high school students. I just said to them, this is for Oakwell. They said, oh, Oakwell, let me sign. If there were 6 of them, together, they all signed. These are the names of the signatories in my hand, right here. And there's over 1,200 of them, and they all thank you for what you're doing. And I also have all of the ragged pages where people hand-signed, as well as the nicer version with everybody in alphabetical order. So again, I just wanted to thank everyone, and Dr. Yanni, good luck.
Thank you.
Allison, then Colleen, then Ruth Jenkins.
Do I need to say my name? I'm Allison Crawford. I live in Ballackinwood. I'm the co-president of the ISC, and I just wanted to thank you all again for supporting the ISC mini grants, and thank the Home and School Associations from our 11 schools and the Education Foundation of Lower Merion for donating an extra $2,000 to the program this year. It was wonderful to read all of the applications from so many teachers. We were thrilled to have such interesting ideas, and although it may seem that we had 68 applications and we've only so far funded 11, I wanted to note that some of the HSAs are separately going to fund a couple of the projects, and the district administration will be funding some of the projects separately. So, and some of them have been deferred for looking at them again in the fall, just to make sure we balance out who gets all of the grants. Just in case you haven't had a chance to read our full letter and list of the grants that we awarded, just to give you an idea of some of the interesting projects. One of them is a multicultural coding curriculum in elementary school. One is a multimedia art project solving student hunger. One is a fascinating coding curriculum and program in the U.S. history classes to code Spheros robot balls to reenact battles and events in history. And one other example is a Trout in the Classroom project that will be done in cooperation with the Lower Merion Conservancy. So we're really excited and happy to update you more in the fall about how these projects have started out and how they're going all next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Having been involved in that review committee many times, it is so inspiring to read and be able to discuss. And the only downfall is just not more funding. Okay, thanks.
Okay, we have Colleen Bertrand, then Ruth Jenkins, then Holly Manzoni.
Thank you. My name is Colleen Bertrand, and I live in Wynwood. I spoke at last month's business meeting describing my oldest son's experience at Marion Elementary School. Behaviors related to his autism and giftedness were treated as disciplinary problems. He was misdiagnosed in the original evaluation, and inappropriate supports led to increasing emotional distress, and the school used the restraint policy to punish him, and not to protect him or others, but it was used as a punishment. Elopement and other behaviors that are not expected behaviors, those are treated as unexpected behaviors to extinguish, but I would say that these are cries for help. I've learned that when children act out, they're using immature strategies, the only strategies that they have to get their needs met. This policy has had a cascade of negative consequences, both obviously on Miles, but to my family and his two younger siblings who also have IEPs. And I'm speaking again tonight because the systemic issue that led to what happened hasn't been addressed. I wish that the painful incident, I could just put it behind me and that, lessons were learned. Unfortunately, I continue to hear that the policy is used in a way that's punitive and it really needs to be addressed. And I'm wondering what it's going to take for the district to actually address the issue. Punishment, it's effective in the short term, but it stifles learning and growth. The last thing that I said in my statement last month was that we can do better. I'm interested in using whatever influence I have to reform the restraint policy and how the district approaches special and gifted education. Miles, who finished his sophomore year at Duquesne University, has also expressed interest in creative positive change. Board members, you have the power and resources to address this restraint policy and to build a more trusting relationship with the community. And the question I have is, do you have the will? Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Ruth Jenkins, then Holly Manzoni, and then Jennifer Horn.
Hello, everybody. Almost Memorial Day. Here's my little friend, the Lorax, saving the trees. Couple of things. Oh, Wynwood, Ruth Jenkins from Wynwood. The restraint behavior for the last month's meeting, I went to speak to a couple of different schools that use different methods for special ed children that are acting out. Just as you went to several schools to research kindergarten activities and kindergarten formulas, I think you should check on other schools and see what they're doing with their autism classes and other students that need kinder and gentler behavior, reaction. I'm also very excited about full-day kindergarten. It's only been 30 years that I've been working for it. One of the things that Dr. Yanni forgot to include that's so wonderful about full-day kindergarten is lunch. So lunch is a wonderful part of the day where you have no schoolwork and you just have a lot of chit-chat and what are you eating and all of that kind of stuff. I also am sad to see you go. I think you brought a lot of nice positive energy to our school district. And I think last time we had a gap before you came, Megan Schaefer took over as acting superintendent, and she did a wonderful job. And I would like to recommend that she maybe have the position more permanently, if possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Holly Manzoni of Wynwood, and I'm here tonight mostly to say thank you to Dr. Yanni. When you came here less than a year ago, we had some big issues. We had full-day kindergarten coming up and the new start time, and those were great ideas that the public wanted, but it really hadn't been worked out. How is this going to happen? I think in any school district that implements either of those programs, that's a big job in itself. But you've done both in less than a year. And on top of that, the whole tone of these meetings has changed. I and my friends wearing our Save Oakwell shirts for the past couple years have dominated these meetings, and that was all anybody ever talked about. But you listened to us, and that was a big thing. For years, people would come to these school board meetings and say, we want transparency. What's going on behind closed doors? But we feel that you've listened to us, and I see you listening to a lot of people. It's not uncommon for you to get out of that seat right there and go chasing after a public member or a student who made a comment, and you want to make sure that you follow up. And you are truly a transformative leader. You have made changes here that I hope will stay. I would love to see you stay here and get one of those 25-year recognition things, but you know, I can't be selfish. I think maybe Central Bucks needs you more. So I do thank you for all you've done. And I also thank the board. I think this is a particularly good school board. I love that coming to these meetings now, you talk about things and we can hear what you're thinking, and it's really, really wonderful. And it's so important to have a good board now, because the most important job of any school board is to select a superintendent. And I feel good about all of you. I think you're going to do a great job. And I'm feeling very good about being a Lower Merion resident at this point. I feel particularly good about the resolution that you'll be voting on soon. And to think that here we are as a school district that's often singled out as, you know, the school district who represents the haves the most, that here we are having a resolution that we support the have-nots as well, and that we're looking for fairness. And I just feel really good, and I thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer Horn, and then Anne Mariani. You're done? Perfect. That's it then on the in-person comments.
Thank you, Ms. LaPera. Mr. Roos, can you please let us know if there's any, read us any comments on the chat, please?
Yes, there are, I think, 3 or 4. First is Mandy Neese, parent from Narberth. Lower Merion School District seems to be in a constant state of change. From the pandemic to changing start times to full-day kindergarten, and now another nationwide search for yet another superintendent. The constant through all of these changes has been the unbelievable staff that has dedicated themselves to making sure our children are taken care of, and that these initiatives are done with attention to detail for guaranteed success. With all of the changes, a matter of priority for the board should be to give the LMSD staff a fair and well-deserved contract. By law, negotiations started in January, yet we have heard no update about our community's most important investment, our teachers and staff. We need stability, and we need you to prioritize the very professionals who educate, drive, feed, and care for our students. Please give our employees a well-earned contract. Next is Seth Ruderman Villanova. Would appreciate an update on the search for a teacher to save the LMSD Japanese program. We are rapidly approaching a new year and the demise of this incredible program. Ryan Pace, Gladwin. I'm a 9th grader at Harriton and I never say this right, Coxswain on the Harriton crew team. Okay. Coxon, sorry. I said I never say it right. I want to discuss something important and time sensitive. Building a new boathouse, boat storage, and launch for the Harriton crew team on Lower Merion Township property. As you might know, Harriton has been subletting space from the Villanova crew team, but after this season, that's not going to be an option anymore. We won't have a place to store our boats or to practice next year if a new facility isn't constructed. Being part of the crew team has been a big part of my high school experience so far. It's not just about rowing, or in my case, coxing. Good, okay. It's about commitment, friendships, teamwork, and the sense of accomplishment we feel when we're out on the water. And guess what? Our boys freshman 8 boat qualified for nationals this coming weekend. Yeah, it's pretty awesome that we get to join. Jennifer Kelly, Penn Valley. Harriton crew has been rowing out of what could be described best as a dilapidated warehouse. The rowers don't complain, there was occasionally raised eyebrows among parents. But now even this subpar option is going away due to the purchase of the property by Villanova University. We need urgent action to sustain this program. I do not live in the choice zone, but it is striking to me that there could be 2 so incredibly divergent experiences in one district, based simply on where one lives. While Harriton High School rowers make do with a tent and a porta potty, Lower Merion High School crew experiences top-notch facilities at the Hines Rowing Center. Well, this has always struck me as odd. At the end of the day, students at both high schools could do crew. Now even that is at risk. I understand the ask has been made before. However, now that the situation is dire, please prioritize working with school administration and your township counterparts to advocate for Harriton crew before it is too late. Dana Ruderman, also Villanova. In addition, if the district cannot find a spot for the Harriton crew team, will it divide the LMSD space? Will it force a merger of the teams? Frankly, it is not the team's responsibility to find their own facilities. It is a shame that we are busing these teams out of the district to row when the river they row on is in our district. Why are we paying to enter the river in Conshohocken and rowing right past Flat Rock Park that we own? The team is not proposing a permanent structure. They are not proposing hosting regattas. They are not proposing morning or summer rowing. This should be a simple discussion between the board and commissioners. That concludes the chat comments.
I'll start with some easy ones, and then we'll end on some information about crew, because Dr. Sautner is going to weigh in. So let me start by talking about LMEA negotiations. The reason there hasn't been a public update is because it's not a public process. The board is elected to represent the community. The board has empowered a number of staff to negotiate that contract on behalf of the board, and there will not be a public update until we have something substantive to share. And I know that might sound harsh or terse, but that's just the reality. Contract negotiations are just never a public process. Regarding the resolution, I grabbed your name when you spoke, so I'm going to send you the article that I was quoting when I talked about districts that were allegedly underfunded. I just want to make it known, I provided testimony over the years in Harrisburg for fair funding. I think we all agree that our state needs to do a better job of funding public education. I did say, and I own what I said, that typically Lower Merion would get $500,000, $700,000, $900,000 increases year over year from PDE. This year, our increase is a little bit less than $300,000. Right, and so that was a little bit jarring to us, just because it was such a substantial change. But that in no way were we saying that districts that are right here in Montgomery County that do not have substantial funding, that they don't deserve it. So I just want to correct that record. There was a question about the Japanese teacher. I have a couple applications that were sent that I'm taking a look at. So there'll be, I'll follow up on that. And then Dr. Sautner, did you want to talk about? This was my big moment. I'm sorry I made you stay. So what I'm going to do is I will connect with Dr. Sautner, find out what information she had to share. I'll type that up and I'll make sure that you all get it. Yeah. And I'll make sure that, because she had sent me a text that she wanted to share some information, so I'll make sure you get that tomorrow, okay?
Yeah, you can just.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about crew. Yes, okay? All right. Yeah, if I can just get one email address from someone, okay, look at that. I mean, as if I even had a question, Ms. LaPera. I mean,
we're
she
really
just
happy to
springs.
have you come up and, not come up to, but to come to our meetings and interact with us. I know as a student, it can feel kind of weird to come to these board meetings, but student voice is really important to us as a district and really important to us as a board. And so if you guys have anything that you want to talk about, issues that you want to make known, we always let students speak first at the beginning of our meetings. We're happy to have you. We have student representatives, one of whom is our Harriton representative graduating this year. Yes. So if you wanted to be our student representative to the board, you can talk to your principal about how to get that done, because we have a student representative from each high school. We love having students participate. You don't have to feel weird about asking questions. We have answers some of the time.
Thank you, Mr. Roos and Dr. Yanni, for comments. At that time, it appears, I am looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Can I ask one question about something on it?
Can we just explain a little bit more about the traffic study that's part of the agenda for tonight?
Yes, so we are effectively changing the traffic patterns in the township with the change in Healthy Start times. We believe it's in our best interest to have a traffic study done so that we can provide information to the township about making sure that we do not create backups, traffic and otherwise. We were asked at the meeting to speak with the township to find out if the township can do that work. The township cannot. And so we are keeping this recommendation going forth.
The township does do traffic studies, right? If you go to them and ask about, can we put a light here? They have a division that does this kind of thing. Like we've had things at our civic association where we've talked about the traffic division in the township. So a little more explanation on why they couldn't do that would be helpful.
Okay, I just want to make sure I had the right button. I apologize. The police department does have the traffic safety unit, and they are extremely overloaded and understaffed. They are really struggling. You know, they have coverage across 24 square miles. So one of the things that gives us the ability to do is we have specific dates that we can put personnel out there and make sure we're getting the observations in a timely fashion. Specifically, we don't want to do it in the first week or two. It's still going to be mayhem. And we also put in dates that they're not going to do it, like when we have the holidays. But in order to make sure that we do have the resources available, again, the police can't commit this far in advance that they can have the resources there. Not only to look at one location, we're asking this consultant to look at Harriton, Lower Merion, Walsh Valley, Bala Kinwood, Marion, Black Rock, and that's going to take several days. And that's not something we can, that the township can commit those types of resources to for that many days.
Okay, so let's just think this through for a second. So let's say this private study that we pay for says, oh, you should change this light to this thing and you should put a stop sign here. Like, is the township or PennDOT going to accept the findings from this and actually act on it, or then they're going to still need to do their own study?
No, so my conversations with the township, they will accept the results. That's why we feel comfortable moving this recommendation forward. It's really twofold because number one, they can't guarantee that they will be able to do it to the extensive manner that we want it done. And number two, we're confident that they'll leverage the results to help make changes to keep the flow of traffic through the township moving.
And then if the study shows that we do need to make changes, who is responsible financially for any changes that need to be made?
It will most likely be the district, but a lot of this is going to do with timing of lights, patterns coming in and out of parking lots, right, Mr. Lill? Left-hand turns versus right-hand turns.
The way that it is structured is we're telling the traffic consultant to look at the physical signals as is. In other words, if it's red, yellow, green, or red, yellow arrow, green arrow, you know, those things are really not going to be, you can't change those quickly. Inside the controllers for every single one of these traffic signals is a pretty elaborate and pretty complicated logic, sequence, timing, programming. A lot of what traffic planning has done successfully in the past is they can look to try to find the right timing for a certain amount of time for a green arrow, ped advances, enough green time on Owen Road that we can get the buses out of Lower Merion High School without having a green light, 2 buses, red light, green light, 2 buses, red light, and those types of things. It can be done with the timing. We recognize that tearing apart and putting up new mast arms and signal heads wouldn't be feasible. Inside the brains, there's a lot of things they can do to try to optimize and mitigate things with the flexibility there.
And if we felt that the township, I mean, honestly, in a perfect world, township would have the ability to do it to this level. This is the 3rd district that I've been in that is doing work like this, and we've never been able to have our local municipality do it. We've always had to engage a third party.
So even if we had flexibility on the dates, I know that you're set on these specific dates in October, but if we gave the township free rein to pick dates anytime in the fall, your conversations have been is that they are inequipped or unable to provide the resources to perform this?
They simply just don't have the resources, and what we might be able to get done in a month or two could take them months. So we're trying to be as proactive as possible, because obviously, if it goes on for an extended period of time, we could have our own buses jammed up places. So we're all, trying to do that for that benefit.
And how long is the delay once we give them that information for them to act if they're that delayed? Wouldn't that delay that as well?
Two separate portions. Traffic safety would, in theory, if you wanted someone to observe it, that's something traffic safety would do. If our traffic engineer is able to work out certain programming, the electrical shop, different part of the township, can usually get out there in a couple days. But, we would have to give them kind of the parameters. So we're talking about different entities within the township.
So the consultant will actually be able to make the changes himself?
No, they can specify them. The electrical shop from the township would actually go in and do the programming.
I just want to be clear when it comes to motions on the agenda. When we're asked to go back and do some more due diligence, it's done. If I felt that we would be able to do this in a more effective or efficient way. Ultimately, if the board wants to pull it and vote it down, that's fine too, but just keep in mind that you are changing the traffic pattern for the entire township with the change in healthy start times.
I would just make the statement that connected to safety and all the work that we've done with PennDOT and the shifts in the community, I think it's in alignment with our values and how we've said that we are approaching the shifts in healthy start time and the impact in the community to do our due diligence to expedite any sort of resourcing we need to ensure that our students and our community are able to implement these changes with efficacy.
I would like to add as well that you are, correct me if I'm wrong, you are already working with the township to align timings of lights for the start in September as well. This is our due diligence as good community members to ensure that we are not only are we correcting the safety of the students, but we're also not creating a traffic jam throughout the district with these changes. So I believe that is something we need to consider in considering. And on top of this is a cost reimbursement contract that if we do find that there are areas where we could have a cost savings, this is something to consider. And I believe we need to move this forward so that we are good community members of the district. And I mean the district as a whole of Lower Merion Township and Narberth. I bring to the floor, does anybody want to pull this as a separate vote from the assent agenda? Okay, thanks. Then, is there any more comments on this? No.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
We had that. You had Ms. Kalish and then Ms. Thomas.
I already moved it, so.
So now you're just going on to opposed, abstentions.
Okay,
part.
okay.
Sarah didn't, I didn't second.
She didn't second it, she asked a question.
Yeah, we don't have a second yet.
No, we need a second.
Second.
Second, okay. Okay, all in favor?
Favor.
Favor. I'm hungry.
It's Monday. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. And then, Mr. Roos, can you please give us a report on the Sunshine Act?
Yes, the board, what's up there? The board met in executive session on, on May 1st and May 13th, and prior to this meeting tonight to discuss personnel and labor relations matters.
Thank you. Upcoming board and committee meetings will be held in the boardroom unless otherwise noted. June 10th is the next regular business board meeting at 7 p.m. here. Committee meetings will be held in the boardrooms and are also available Zoom and live streamed unless noted. This Friday is May 21st, the finance meeting at 8:30 a.m. and that will be via Zoom. The May 29th communications meeting is at 7 p.m. via Zoom. And June 6th, the facilities and purchasing meeting is here at 8:30 a.m. If there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned. And I'm going to do this.
Great job.